Good evening and welcome to the SpeakerMC Show. Tonight's show is a continuation of last week's show, which presented a topic on the foster care children and the foster care system. This week's show, we are talking about the influence and the impact that money has on these foster care children and the foster care parents. For the love of money, I will do. Are we rearing these foster care children to be seedlings for the penal system? Yes, it's going to be a deep subject matter, deep topic. For the love of money, I will do, from foster care to prison. If this is your first time on the SpeakerMC Show, this is what you can expect. We will have a brief overview of the show, then we'll take a little break, and then we'll come and say hi to our guests. Tonight we have one guest. Well, actually we have two guests. I'm subbing as the other guest. And then we'll discuss our show topic, take another break, and then you can have, excuse me, open forum for our attendees to ask our guests any question or make any comments on the show. And then we'll close out the show. So as the overview, we are talking about the foster care system. What's foster care? As far as we know, foster care is a system that was set up by the state or a state within a country to care for minor children, decided by the court, saying that the child's parents are no longer able to take care of this child, at least not properly. And then they're set up in the foster care system. But who are these children? These children are a diverse group, and 41% of them are white. And they are children of varying stages of abuse and neglect. Yes, we'll talk about that. And then, so you have the foster care children. What happens to them? They're in the system. What happens to them? They go to a foster home. And what's the end result? Well, the end result is that they get adopted. They are adopted by parents. But parents and families have to meet certain regimens and certain guidelines and certain restrictions placed by the system so that these kids are well taken care of. Well, tonight we are going to see what happens behind those scenes. Are these children really taken care of? This is part two, the foster care system, the money behind the system. If this is your first time to the SpeakerMC Show, the SpeakerMC Show is 60 minutes and it's free-flowing conversation. It's non-scripted, and it's a show that deals with how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to our environment, and how we relate to others. 60 minutes with one host and two guests. Well, I don't know if because the show topic is so controversial, what we have a phenomenal woman who is the guest. And of course you have me. I'll be subbing and we'll be wearing two hats. I usually wear one. I'll be wearing two hats tonight. I'll be the host and I'll also be the other guest. Our intention of the SpeakerMC Show is trifecta. First, with the audience, we try to empower you and enlighten you about creating harmonious environments and boosting your self-esteem. And second, for our guests, we provide a platform and an opportunity so they can share their message. And of course, for everyone, it's about having fun. So now, we are going to take just a little break and get a word from our sponsors.
Hello, can you hear me?
The guilt. But what's shaping your success? Do you want to? And now a word from our sponsor. Who are you hanging with? Are they killing your dreams, the pessimists, society, friends, the goals, the fears, the guilt. But what's shaping your success? Do you want success in your career? How about in your life? Well, how badly do you want this success? To overcome a challenging past, to develop inner peace, to create a mindset and a lifestyle that serves you. Well, in 12 weeks, you'll dream it, plan it, and create the life that you deserve. Ask Rakshana, 12 weekly sessions of individualized coaching to gain success in your life. Yes, Coaching with Rakshana is a 12-week session of customized coaching to help you to become successful in your career, your business, and your life. That's right. Get your life now. Contact Rakshana at www.womenslifecoaching.com. That's www.womenslifecoaching.com. There are limited seats for the new session. Remember, it's 12 weekly sessions of customized coaching to help you to become successful in your career, in your business, and in your life. So connect with her. www.womenslifecoaching. All right. So now we are back. Oh dear. We are going all over the place today. Isn't that fantastic? All right. So now, can everyone see our screen? I guess not. Someone has some thing going on over there. Okay, so here we are. We are back with our word from our sponsor complete. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to say hello to our guests tonight. And tonight we have one guest. Our guest is Phenomenal. She is my ride-or-die chick. She is my sidekick. She is my co-host on the radio show, The Bush is Swelling Show. She is one phenomenal woman that I'm telling you, you need to meet her. And she gives the most exceptional, out of this freaking world massages. Yes. So the person that I'm speaking about, she is her stage name, I should call it, is Bush Woman, and she is the CEO of Bush Woman Conversations right here in Brooklyn, New York. Woo! Her name is Najami Lezama, and Najami's area of expertise, she's worked as a personal chef for private clients, and she's done catering where she created nutritious, healthy dishes that incorporated fresh herbs and spices from various cultures. She's also a personal development awareness coach, life coach, and she has taught cooking classes and catered nutritious dishes to private clients for over 20 years. I'd say she can cook, right? She has contributed recipes to Queen Afua Heal Thyself cookbook and has conducted Bush Woman natural living tours to health food stores, spice shops, and vegetable markets. Yes, so I would like for you to say hello to Miss Najami Lezama, Bush Woman.
Woo! I love that intro. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Speaker MC. I'm only seeing you. Are you seeing me as well?
I am seeing you. I am seeing you, all of you. Yes.
You know, what is so interesting with that intro? Tonight, I just gave my neighbor from Yemen some a vegetable medley that I cooked. So I gave him some food tonight, actually. That was it. I'm always sharing food.
What did you put in that food?
Well, you know, I did some vegetables with some wine, actually. I made vegetables with some wine and a combination of many different vegetables and Indian spices. and Himalayan black sea salt. And so I shared some with him, you know.
That's fabulous. You're such a good neighbor. I don't cook for my neighbors, and I don't accept food from my neighbors. I mean, call it what you will, but you know, I'm kind of skeptical there. But that's so nice of you, you know, and thank you for being on the Speaker MC Show. Welcome to the Speaker MC Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you,
And
thank you. I'm seeing your guest on the other little picture there. Hi, guest.
yes, and she's making all this noise. She's making all these noise in the background there.
Yeah.
So in case you're wondering who I am, my name is Marcia Chambers, aka Speaker MC, and I am a speaker and a sexual wellness consultant. And my area of expertise is working with women who are just lonely in their relationships. I help them to go from sexless to steamy. My message shares information to women about better sex and intimacy so that they give themselves permission to be sensual and sexual and begin to lead empowered lifestyles. My mission is to reduce the world's divorce rate by 50%. And that's why I created S.W.E.L.L for women. Because I saw people just exchanging DNA and not even asking the right questions. And then they're subjecting the rest of us to all their dysfunctions. I host and produce this show, the Speaker MC Show, which is all about relationships, how we relate to ourselves, to others, and to our environment. And I also host and produce the S.W.E.L.L Happy Hour and the S.W.E.L.L Playroom. And my co-host on the radio show, The Bush's Swelling Show, is our guest for tonight. So all three concentrate basically on shifting how we think about sex and about sexuality. Tonight's topic, however, is something totally radically different. We're talking about how we treat each other, because the kids that end up, or should I say the children that end up in foster care, they end up in foster care because of some kind of abusive system that they've been succumbed to. And it might not always be an abusive system. It might be that their parents just suddenly disappear. They are incarcerated, or they, deaf, and they have no other living relatives. So they end up in the system. But then they end up in the system and they're subjected to a lot of cracks in the system, for need of a better word. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about tonight was some of these children. They are in the system for a while, usually a year to 5 years. And in the event that they don't age out, so they're 18 or 19 or 20, then they're too old to be adopted. That means that they age out. If they are not in that category, then they're up for adoption. My understanding is that there's over 118,000 children waiting to be adopted. And the reason why this subject matter was even pertinent to me to bring up, to make anyone else who is interested aware, not only for this show, but for last week's show, was due to a conversation that I had with a friend who was trying to adopt foster care children, and she and her husband were denied 3 times. So why is that? You have 118,000 children in the system and they're being denied? Okay. So let's talk about that, because some of the foster homes that some of these children are adopted into, or are given the green light, so to speak, to enter, some of these children, they're escaping abuse and they go right back into the abuse. 33% of them are abused by the adults while in foster care. In 1999, they had a case, and I'm just checking my notes here because I did take notes on this one. In 1999, they had a case, a gentleman by the name of Tom Cusick and his live-in female companion. They adopted or fostered 28 children. 28 children, 4 girls and 24 boys, and their average age was 8 or 9 years old. And this case was in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. And at least 5 of the boys accused him of sexually abusing them. Yes, he committed suicide, the abuser, before his trial began, but he claimed that he was a composer. But, you know, he's not the only case that there is out there. There was another one in 2004 where this 12-year-old girl was placed with a gentleman and his wife, Todd and Lisa Mortensen, and she was sexually abused by her foster father. And it was a private placement arrangement, and this took place in New Mexico. So these 2 cases are not the only cases, and I thought that it was pertinent because it's over $9 trillion that's spent on the system in foster care. $9 trillion. So $9 trillion going from the government to these foster homes to take care of their medical needs, their clothing, their schooling, their food, all of that, all the care system. $9 trillion. Each child, it's worth about $23,000, and there's over 400,000 in the foster care system. Over 400,000 children. So what happens when they age out? And this is a picture of these adult-like children who either run away, they become homeless, or they just age out. No one else wants them. And this is what happens to them. The stats from the Northern American Council on Adoptable Children reveals that foster care children in the U.S. is over 408,425 of them, that girls in foster care are pregnant by 50% by 19. 50% of them, I'm sorry, of the girls in foster care are pregnant by age 19, and former foster kids are now in the U.S. prison. 74%. This is an astounding percentage. 74% of the former foster care kids end up in the penal system. And that is the essence of this show tonight. Yeah. Are we treating our kids so badly because of the money, and then we're not doing anything to help them? Then they end up in the foster care system. Is it because within 2 years of aging out, 50% of them go to the penal system and 80% of them go on death row? Food for thought. So what are we doing to these children for a paycheck? That is the subject of tonight's conversation that we'll be having here on the SpeakerMC Show with our fabulous guest, the one and only Miss Najami Lezama. Okay, Najami, I have stopped sharing the screen and I am trying to bring this all the way up, and we are seeing a sleeping beauty on the screen here. Okay. She is fast asleep. Okay, Najami, let's talk about the foster care system and the way that these adoptive parents are treating these children. Do you have any kind of dealings with kids in the foster care system, or anyone that you know that may be dealing with someone in the foster care system? I can't hear you. Najami?
Yeah.
Now I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened. I had headphones on. Besides all of the things, and thank you for that great introduction, Speaker MC. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the Speaker MC for sharing this type of information that will help others become more aware of information that they may not have known before. Are you hearing me?
Yes, now I'm hearing
Speaker
you.
MC?
Yes.
Okay, I disappeared. Okay, so I do, besides what I do as a bushwoman and a professional life coach, I'm also a social worker. I've been in the social work field for over, I say, 13, going on 15 years, and I have dealt with patients who have children, and the children sometimes have had to go into foster care or were in the shelter system with their parents. Um, the foster care system is designed, yes, there are some children in foster care who happen to be treated well, but I think it's a deep, deep rabbit hole where a lot of these children are in homes that have worse conditions from where they left. Now, I also want to read something here from the state of California. Um, Two San Diego County grand juries echoed these sentiments. Professionals working in the field of child abuse voiced strong concerns that children removed from abusive homes were being abused again by a system designed to protect them. There are no proper checks and balances within the foster care system to really help some of these children. And there's a sentiment that goes from the Santa Clara County grand jury. They reached a conclusion and stated that sometimes foster care placements are made that are just as abusive, if not more so, than the home from which the child was removed. The grand jury learned the placements where sexual and physical abuse took place. There was even a case where an infant died. So many of these children are sexually abused. They end up dying. They have broken limbs, whatever have you. So we need to have much more proper transparency when it comes to placing our children in the foster care system. So that's something, yes.
But yes, and I totally agree, because 33% of the children end up in, like you say, more abusive households than they were before. I don't know if it's because they form easy prey or what the deal is, but a lot of these children, I mean, let's even just take a back step, because for there to be a foster home, the courts have to carry these parents through a litany of tests, a battery of tests. You know, tests for the environment, tests to make sure their income is right, tests to make sure their background is good, and all of these things. So how does it occur that they fall through the system? Because for each child, the parents get a stipend of about $23,000 per year. And $23,000 per child times 400,000, that's $9 trillion that's being spent, right? So notwithstanding the hoops and the battery of tests, how is it that they still fall through the cracks? How is it that these children their safety isn't secure? Is it that the foster care system really doesn't want these kids to be adopted, or really don't care about these children? Because, you know, according to the stats that I just shared earlier, 50% of them, 75% of them end up on death row or in the penal system.
Yeah, I think it's a way of, I'm not trying to also put the system down, say the system doesn't work, but it really, from what I have experienced working in social services for years, I really don't think the system is designed to really help children in the foster care system. It's like a revolving door.
What makes you say that?
Because I find that when they are placed in the foster care system, the services, like in New York, we have the ACS. Before it used to be called BCW and all of that, and there have been many cases where the social workers do not have the tools, or there's not to help them to be able to manage. Let's say you're given a case, you're given a child of certain caseload of foster care children to go visit and see and make sure they're okay. And there are times the social workers who are agents of change to some degree are not able to do their job efficiently because the caseloads are so much. They need to have much more tools, much more lesser caseloads to allow you to do your job efficiently and effectively so you can go about and make sure that these children are getting the proper care.
So let me ask you then, based on that premise, do you think that they should just throw more money at the problem, like give them more money for better training and better tools, or do you still think that even though they may have the better tools and better training and better education and employ more of them, that the kids are still going to get falling through the system, falling through the cracks?
I think that you need to have social workers with manageable caseload so they can do their job effectively, right? You can, that's one aspect I find that's very, very important. The other aspect I find is very important is much more better checks and balances with these people who adopt these children. Because here, what it is a big business. It is a big business in the sense that you have a lot of children who are not only abusing their homes, but a lot of their parents are addicts and they can't take care of their children. So it's a kind of a farming kind of a way. They have to get these children, otherwise it's going to trickle down into another bigger problem. So like in Massachusetts, believe it or not, with the research I did today, I was so surprised that the Department of Social Services in Massachusetts has knowingly approved scores of convicted criminals to be foster parents.
So wait a minute, hold on 1 second. You're saying that the system has approved people with backgrounds of criminal backgrounds to be foster parents, even though that's part of the regimen, you know, part of the battery of tests that they claim that they have to go through?
Yes, because you have so many children who are out there. I mean, you're talking about over 50,000 children or more. So this is in the state of Massachusetts. So people, 400,000. Okay.
Yes.
So some of these parents, so-called foster parents, are child abusers, drug dealers, habitual drunk drivers, kidnappers, armed robbers, and other violent offenders, according to the Boston Globe series. People can look this up. I'm not making this up. So the Department of Social Services in Massachusetts has allowed these criminals to become foster parents by granting waivers that would ordinarily have caused the foster parents to be rejected. So it is about farming out these children, really. You know, because for one, it is getting them off of the system hands. People are making their money from fostering these children. So it's, I mean, it's such a sad case, I would say. And this trickles into creating dysfunctional relationships within the population, because these children are going to grow up. They're going to grow up, they're going to have relationships, and this creates even a bigger problem.
But even so, yes, notwithstanding that aspect of it, what about the children who they go from one home to another home, to another home, to another home? You know, there's no consistency, there's no stability. Then they grow up, as you say, and they have relationship problems because they don't trust people, or they can't connect to someone, or they don't know how to socialize with someone. So they come up with all these emotional barriers and baggages that, you know, as adults, you're looking at them and go, okay, what's wrong with you? And then when they explain their story, then you understand, you know? So they're doing so much trauma to these children at such a young age. And the majority, excuse me, of children in the system tend to be between the ages of 5 and 9. The majority. 5 to 9 years old. And when they grow from house to house to house to house to house to abuse to abuse to abuse, and if they don't run away, when they run away, then they become wards of the state. Maybe they'll go to a group home, maybe they'll go to the correctional facility, maybe they'll just be homeless. There's so many homeless children out there. I showed the picture, 22,000 of them. 22,000 of them. either they've run away or they've just aged out of the system. They've gone beyond 18 years old, so now they're not adoptable criteria any longer. And how are they going to now pay for themselves? You know.
Well, I like how you said that, how you segued into that, because aging out of the foster care system is a challenge for a lot of older teens who reach 18. Now, if there has not been certain systems put in place, like, let's say, if within the foster care system, if not only the parents, but if the system doesn't step to show some of these foster care systems how to, let's say there are a lot of programs out there that teach them how to be financially sound, how to pay for an apartment, how to become independent. But within, I should say, ages of 18 and up, 20% of homelessness happens within the foster care system with young people.
Yes.
And therefore, about 50% of them become unemployed because they don't have the skill set or the tools. Now, it depends on the foster care parent. It also depends on the system. Having these systems in place to show them, okay, aging out, you're coming to that age, you need to learn certain skills. Some children or some young teenagers have been fortunate to learn some of these skills, but it's part of defining your own story. Learning about financial training. There are clinics out there that helps them to know how to rent a car, how to buy a car, to rent an apartment. And it's important for coaches and mentors to be part of the training, I believe, in the foster care system to help these aging out teenagers to adjust. And therapy. You need psychological therapy. You need meeting with a therapist as often as you can because, we're dealing with abuse. We're dealing with let me just say this. I work in the substance abuse field at this present time. I've worked in different populations. The clinic where I work at is mainly in a black known area, but because of gentrification, we have more Caucasian patients coming in. And one of my patients, children was taken care of by his mother. But while he and his wife were struggling with drugs. So you have a lot of kids in the foster care system who are coming from parents who are opioid addicts, and they cannot take care of their children.
So let me ask you this. I'm glad you brought that up. So they're opioid addicts, right? Okay, yeah. We already determined that, there's some kind of waiver that they can get, whatever it is. So what happens to that money? They just use it to buy drugs, basically. All that money that they're getting from the government, these parents I'm talking about, these parents who have been given the green light to be foster parents. They're getting this money from the government to buy drugs, right? And not take care of the children that they're supposed to be taking care of. Who watches them? I mean, I don't get it.
Now, even though there are some foster care parents who may be addicted to drugs and they get the money from the state, yes, you have that going on there. Therefore, it's on the onus of the social worker. How frequent is the social worker? How astute is the social worker to pay attention to the signs in the home to tell that a child may be in danger? I'm also saying that some parents who are not in the foster care system, who do use opioid or, let's say, medicated, prescribed medications like oxycodone, Percocet, becomes addicted to that, and they're not able to give the care to their children. The children don't go to school, or whatever the system gets sick comes in and then take the children away from the home because the parent is not able to provide the proper care. So there's so many different dynamics within the foster care system. With the high rise of opium was always around, but it seems to be much more on the rise these days. There are a lot of parents who really cannot take care of their children because of their drug use, and the children are being funneled into the foster care system, being given to parents who are worse than what their parents were actually. So
you brought up those social workers, that the social worker might not be astute. I think that some of the social workers are just overworked and they just turn a blind eye to certain situations.
Yes, yes. Yes, I'm saying that in the beginning, their caseload. If you have a very large caseload, and caseloads need to be manageable. And I'm saying that because hey, I have had last large caseloads, and I still have a large caseload now. You have to somehow not only come up with a strategy and how you're going to deal with it, but this type of job is also a very burnout job. You can get burned out being a social worker, working, especially working in the foster care system or with ACS. I almost got hired as a counsel for ACS, and one time I went for the interview. I'm glad I didn't get picked because I think I really would have had an emotional problem. Because no matter how much a child is being abused in a home from the biological parent, to take that child away from that parent is very heart wrenching. The child does not understand anything other than this is my parent. I love them. I don't care if I've been abused. Especially young children,
Yeah.
very young children. It's very psychologically traumatizing. They end up with medical issues, physical issues such as bedwetting. They become involved, even in drugs themselves, hanging with the wrong crowd. That child to become motivated and to want more for themselves, it really, I believe, that's my opinion, it has to be a very innate drive of motivation for that child to want more and the best for themselves.
And not only just a child singular, what happened to those children of multiple siblings? And something goes wrong with the parents. Do they then have a system whereby all the siblings are kept in one particular space? I mean, they sometimes not, right? A lot of times not. And then you have that trauma again. I miss my sister, I miss my brother. They don't see them for 5 years. There was a case, I forgot to bring it on here, but there was a case of this little girl. She was not adopted. She was in the foster care system, and she's been in the foster care system for like 8 years. 8 years. I mean, that might not be as shocking, but seeing that they're supposed to be there temporarily, it's supposed to be a temporary fix between 1 to 2 years. And they say that when the 1 to 2 year period, I think at that time they're also working with the original family. So the family that the child was taken from and placed in the foster care, now the family has to go through a certain amount of, I don't know if it's tests, but processes to make themselves whole once again. And then the child is sent back to that household. Now, I mean, if there was abuse there to begin with, and I get your point that, yeah, no matter if the child is young and there's abuse, they still want to know, I want to go back to mommy and daddy. But if mommy and daddy is just not fit, the reunification, they bring them right back to the same house that's been abusing them.
Well, no, I mean, if in a case like that, what happens sometimes within the system is that if the child is coming back to their home, the parents have to go through a series of classes or workshops to work on themselves. Do they all do it? No. But, most times those are some of the services that are played. Let's say a parent has a serious anger issue. You have anger management classes. You have parenting classes to try to help the parents become much more adjusted to deal with their child. The child is coming back. So the system do have some of those things in place. It is effective at times it's not effective, less effective than not, because you as a parent, you have the responsibility, you have taken the responsibility to take care of another soul, another person, another young person. However the child came, you are the parent. So therefore, I'm not saying that, there's an exact perfect rule book to be a good parent. We learn things based on how we were also raised. And we were raised with a lot of faulty thinking ideas of being a parent. So therefore, we tend to mimic what we've been taught, as we say in the Caribbean, as monkey see, monkey do. So it's important for us to take responsibility for working on becoming a good parent, whether you take classes, whether you listen to motivational tapes or you read books or things of that nature. But I want to read something here by a gentleman who is the director of the Foster Care Institute. And he's on a campaign to recruit 10,000 new foster parents by 2020. And this is in regards to those who are using opioids. He says his name is Degamo, and Dr. John Degamo says that more people are becoming addicted to opioids. Where are these children going? More people are dying from this crisis. 100,000 have died last year. Where do all these children go, he says. So he says that our foster care system is truly in crisis because we have these other social ills that is contributing to the high rise in the foster care system with these children. And because it is so sometimes hard to monitor some of these checks and balances, a lot of these children in the foster care system becomes prey for sex trafficking.
Yes.
As well.
Yes. Yes. I agree. I want to take, and I thank you for that commentary, because that just segues me into the bigger picture. So I know that the foster care system is not just indigenous to the United States, it's a global thing. Yeah. And it's a system of checks and balances, quote unquote, whereby children's best interests are protected.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, we all know that there's a stipend that comes with it, because these aren't your birth children, and you're taking care of somebody else's children, and you're alleviating the government and you getting paid. Okay, fine. But what kind of nourishment, mentally, physically, emotionally, are you giving these children if you are then also abusing them? So you're taking the monies from the government, okay, but those people who have 28, 30, 25, and I'm not sure if it's at one time or over a series of years, but it's still a lot of children. If you haven't adopted them, then what is the sense? That's number one. And then the end game of these children, they go into some kind of sex trafficking, the penal system. They are now the spawns, or the how do you call it, the seedlings for this kind of system. Because at the end of the day, it's all about money, it's all about capitalism, right? And if the government is spending $9 trillion, I'm pretty sure as a business, they're going to look for making at least 3 times that amount. And if they can keep a child in a group home, which is another institution that's like a penal system on a smaller scale, and if they only know what they are surrounded with in their environment, which is not love and care and huggy, fuzzy days, you know, they're going to grow up and they're going to be a part of the societal system. But the bigger picture that I wanted to look at, you mentioned about the opioids. And I know a lot of medical doctors nowadays, they're the Band-Aid people. I think that the medical system, they train you not to cure. They train you to be a part of the healthless, right? And opioids is the now #1 drug that they just farm out to each and everyone because of its addictive nature. I don't think that happened yesterday. That's always been. But there has to be the fallout to that addiction, and that brings the children into play. So I'm saying that the bigger picture, and I don't want to seem like I'm insensitive or callous or anything, but the bigger picture, looking at it from a business standpoint, is this something that they're now growing? They're growing the penal system seedlings so that they can make money with these prisons. You don't see a lot of homes being built anymore. You see a lot of private institutionalized prisons, and people getting locked up for no reason and can't get out. So I'm just looking at that big broad scale picture. Do you see this foster care system as the bedding ground for that bigger picture?
Yeah, I believe it is because there have been a rise in building of more prisons, um, and it's all part of a big plan. I believe that the system is not designed really to help people to feel placed or whatever. I mean, it's a system that's designed. I mean, you understand, we have to go all the way back to the origin of the foster care system and how it was really designed really to keep African families separated, Black people. And then down the road, other people begin to trickle in. You have people who are coming in from different parts of the world who are part of the foster care system, refugees. It's a big, big net, and so everybody gets caught into that net. And I really don't think the system is really designed to really help. Now, you said something interesting about opioid. Now, some people become addicted to opioids because by force. And what I mean by that, I had a patient today who said he had surgery in his arm. Well, what happened? He lost part of his arm. It was cut off, right? He got cut off from gunshot. He was given morphine in the hospital to handle the pain. And when he got discharged, he was not given any form of other medication to handle the pain, and a friend introduced him to heroin. Because opioid is a pain blocker. And so some people become addicted to opioids based on prescription, based on the doctor not weaning them off properly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what.
So it's all about the system. It's like a interesting hook. I'm gonna get you addicted to opioids, but I'm not gonna allow you to really get it medicinally from me anymore. So now you're gonna have to either go to a methadone clinic to get methadone to help you to handle this. In the meantime, I have these services there, but it's up to you. But because in a sense, it's really up to a person to really want better personal development for themselves. But if you don't want to utilize the services, you are going to fall between the cracks. You're going to fall between the cracks because you don't want to take the responsibility to transforming yourself. I really believe that part of even though the system is designed to make money off of the penal of the foster care system, part of the onus also lies on us adults as spiritual beings having a human experience to take up the mantle to correct ourselves.
I agree. But like you,
to do what is right.
I agree. But like you always say, the stinking thinking. And then they talk about the drug dealers. Who are really the drug dealers? Who are really the drug dealers? And then how are you now affecting the big picture? So.
Yeah. But I feel so sad because, a lot of these young kids, male and female, and the sex trafficking thing is another form of slavery. I'm going to just say it like that. It is another form of slavery. I don't really get how someone can look at a child and sex trafficking is nothing new. This has been happening ever since eons and eons of years ago. But the whole idea for you to look at a child and see that child as a marketable product, a commodity for you, and sell the child or abuse the child, a lot of listen. It's a sick kind of consciousness that I just can't wrap my mind around. But another part of me also understands too that from a spiritual perspective, our karma has a lot to play sometimes, unfortunately, with the outcome of things in our lives. So it's important for us to. Then that's another conversation of itself.
That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. But the thing is that we. If you are in a home or you are in a neighborhood or you happen to have witnessed a child being abused, I really encourage people to really speak about it or report it because you could be saving a child's life, okay? Especially a lot of those children who are refugees and get adopted, a lot of those children who from Haiti who get adopted by these families are really being abused much more. They are treated as servants. There are many stories of these children, and the government pays them for taking in these children from different parts of the world, and they are treated, they're sexually abused, they're treated like slaves in the household. So we just have to be much more concerned residents and also report certain things that we see that is going on that does not look right, because you gotta trust what you not only see but trust what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Another child will be trying to give you a message. Pay attention to that.
So since you are in the industry of social care, do you think that they have any remedies set up? I read about this institute called CHAMPS. Children are, I have to find it now, but iChamps or something like that. Have you heard of something like that?
Well, they're different. I haven't heard of that particular agency, but there are quite a few number of agencies who do try to do good work. There are some people who try to create rites of passage programs, which is very important within the African family diaspora. Rites of passage programs was something that we always incorporated to have to teach a young person how to live out there in the world, how to develop certain social skills. But there are some agencies who do try to make a dent if they can. There are going to be some children who are going to learn. Hello?
Michael, I think you need to go on mute, please.
Huh? What you said?
Could you go on mute, please?
Okay, okay.
Thank you. Yes. So there are some systems, as I said, there's family counseling, there is parenting skills workshops, anger management, but the deep problem really stems from what I have observed is the parent or the person in charge of taking care of a young one, taking the steps to identify what they have to work on as a person to really become a better parent. Because all those tools can be out there as much as they want. But if you don't take that small measurable step towards correcting your own personal development as a person, not only as a human being, but as a human doing. Human doing. Be a human doing. Okay? Develop some kind of conscience. You taking all this money to take care of these children and you want to be, no, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
And that's too commonplace. That is too commonplace in the society these days. Too commonplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make sure that I am fair for you to share, because this is a platform for entrepreneurs to come on and share a little bit about themselves and a little bit about what they're doing, what their gift is. And I want to be able to create enough time so that you can share a little bit about who Najami Lezama Bushwoman is, and then give our audience a little time to kind of interact with you and with me. So tell us a little bit about Najami.
Okay, I am Najami Lezama, aka Bushwoman Conversations Project. I am a personal development awareness life coach. And when I say that, I mean of bringing women and men together to co-create and thrive within communities so we can decrease dysfunctional relationships, first with ourselves and with others. And I'm really about sharing information, not only covering things from a herbal perspective, but things coming also from a personal development perspective, because everything is about personal habits. It's about our habits, the thinking thoughts we think of every day. So I'm having an event on April 29th in Brooklyn, New York, at Mokada Museum called How to Write Affirmations to Attract Your Visions and Your Goals. Because the way to attract the things we want in our lives is by writing it down. When we write things down, we make it happen, people. I am pure example of that. This apartment I'm living in is because I wrote it down. A lot of things have happened in my life, but not saying that it's not a work in progress. It's almost like knowing how to pray. There's a certain way to pray. You don't say, oh, Father God or Goddess within, I need this, help me. No. There's a way how you have to do that. The same way there's a way how to write. A lot of these things are also in the secret. If you get the secret book, or you can go on YouTube, what I'm saying is nothing new. I'm just bringing my own perspective. So this will be from 3 to 5 at the Mercator Museum in Brooklyn, New York. It will be on Eventbrite, and you can go on the Bushwoman Conversations Project, where I'll be promoting it, and also on the Bush and Swelling Show. Hey.
That is fabulous. That is fabulous. So let me just open up the floor to our audience. If there's anyone who wishes, I will unmute everyone. If there's anyone who wishes to say a few words, have a question, a comment. Yes, no, maybe so.
We had Michael on before. What happened? He went away?
No, Michael's here. I think Michael must be cooking or something.
Wait a minute. There was a Michael today who told me he was cooking. So I don't know if it's the same Michael, though. There was a Michael today who told me he was cooking. So I don't know if it's the same Michael. My goodness.
Well, apparently everyone seems to be shy. So, participants. Okay. Let me unmute you. Okay. No one seems to want to say anything. Well, I don't know what that's about, but all right. Well, in the event that, let me just go back to the rest of our show. We have 4 minutes. And my name, as I said, is Marcia Chambers, Speaker MC. And I help women who are lonely in their relationships to go from sexless to steamy. I speak, my message is all about sexual wellness. And I'll be having a champagne and chocolates conversations where we're going to be talking about your libido. 3 ways to recover your libido and have pleasure. Our conversations are adult conversations. They're for adults only. They're for women only. And Najami was there. Najami, did you have fun at the last?
Well, of course I had fun. I had some great chocolate champagne, and I won a fantastic prize. I don't know if I should mention that. That's not good, but I got a great prize that helps to pleasure myself. So let me just put it like that. Thank you.
Right. That's right. That's what we do. We have fun. We have games. We have raffles. We have prizes and information to not only feed you mentally, but emotionally and spiritually. And it's all about the libido. And it's just to give you a different perspective about sex, because too many people do not want to talk about sex. For what reason, I don't know. It's so taboo. Still in the 21st century.
Who is laughing? We have a guest on.
Yes,
we have a guest on there laughing. Who is that?
This is Sister Hattie from Philadelphia.
Dr. H, how you doing?
I've been trying to figure out for the longest how to get on in here, because you sisters has got me fired up over here. I mean, well, first of all, I want to come back to this last part, the chocolate champagne. I want to be a part of that one.
All right, 31st.
The information that both of you put forth tonight is, I don't even know what the words is. It's a tragedy. I don't believe that the foster system is designed to take care of our babies. Unfortunately, it's one of those institutions where you give somebody a little bit of money and they do it for the money, but they're not doing it for you. You know what I mean? To love the babies, you know, to help educate them. There are a few exceptions, because I know some women who are awesome parents.
Yes.
But that is by far not the case. And
Right.
it's kind of, and if you think about it, when we live in a society that don't value our children anyway, how would you expect that an institution that they create is going to do something different? But we must do something different, because our babies deserve not to be treated like slaves. They deserve to live.
Yes.
They deserve to have a freaking childhood.
Yes.
And they don't. And it's tragic. And I'm not sure, I don't know the answer, but I do know what the statistics you gave about the number of them who wind up in prison, like they've never had a chance to live. They get thrown out of one home and they go into another one.
Yeah.
Somehow we got to find a way to expose this or to talk about this more, to make it an issue where we grab people's hearts, because our babies are, I mean, this is not the way you build a society. And then they want to know why kids are pissed the hell off. Why they run around shooting each other in the street. Why not? They don't know what affection is. They have no connection to the human spirit.
Right. That's right.
They act like these kids are just crazy for no reason. Yeah. But no, it's the society that they are raising that has just cast them aside, and then you expect them to give a darn.
Right.
It's not fair, man. They set up from the beginning not to fail.
That's right. The domino effect, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you have 400,000 children, 400,000 children at any given time in the foster care system, right? And of that 400,000, 118,000 are waiting to be adopted. That means that they've already passed through the 2-year period or the 20-month period, and they're waiting to be, and they can't get adopted. And like I said at the beginning of the show, this show was inspired. This show is a part 2 to last time's show. It was inspired by me having a conversation with someone who tried to be an adoptive family for foster care children, and they were denied 3 times. 3 times. Now you're telling me you have 118,000 kids waiting to be adopted, and you have a family that has passed every test with flying colors, and you denied them 3 times? 3 times? Not once, not twice, 3 times? So does that mean you're trying to help these children? I don't think so.
No,
that was terrible. I wanted to hear what other people had to say, so I said, let me do a show about it.
Sinful.
Yeah, it is.
They're too stable. They will create much more well-adjusted children. The system is not really, I don't think, is geared to help people become well-adjusted as much as they will put certain things in place. And as the sister said earlier, there are some foster parents who are very responsible and who do an awesome job. And my heart goes out to them. Thank you so much for being there. But the system is designed really to experiment, to see what works for them, to separate families, to keep people apart. Because if you've got a nation, you've got a global community that are really working together, a lot of the social ills within our communities will not exist. So the system is really kind of pretty much designed to separate families, separate people. Look at the slavery system. Taking children away. It started from way back then. Taking children away from their families, displacing children and their families and parents. That's how the foster care system really evolved, actually, from within that paradigm.
And even with slavery, wasn't slavery all about money? Wasn't it about money? So to a certain extent, the bigger picture is this is all about money. If you can constantly feed the prison system, and if you with offenders, sex offenders, people who are being trafficked, or just regular juveniles, or no kind of crime at all, just throw them in there because they look like they fit the profile, then throw them in there, then they can't get out. You're funneling a system that wants to recycle people and traumatize them in pain, so.
If you have a system of well-adjusted people, the police will have no work.
Right.
Yeah,
so really what you're saying is slavery has never ended.
Right, exactly.
Because when you think about it, right, because it struck me when you just said how they used to snatch our babies, on the auction block, right, and breaking up our families, and then slavery, even though they quote ended it, brothers who they just had, just hanging around were just plucked up off the street by the cops at that. Well, it wasn't cops at that time, but whatever they called them, and just thrown into the chain in the prisons. So everything is. And I was thinking about how how cops just shoot brothers down in the street like they less than freaking dogs. And to me, that's like legal lynching. It's like really the same stuff, just a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10 million ways to skin a cat, you know, and that's what they're doing. Your hair looks fly, by the way. Dr. Sabi would love it. Anyway.
I'm sorry he's not here. I swear I am. I was scheduled to go see him too.
Yeah?
Yeah, because when he came to Chicago, he talked about wanting to partner with the Black community. And anybody who contributed to the center, they would have the ability to go to the center for free, which makes sense. And then he
passed.
Got taken out of here.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so thankful that you were here tonight. Najami, did you have a good time on the SpeakerMC Show?
Of course. It was a very passionate conversation. And SpeakerMC, I can always count on you for bringing the issues to the heart of the matter. Thank you so much.
Well, we thank you for being here, and thank you for being such a very informative host. And I hope to our audience members that you received value from our conversation here tonight. I would have hoped that you would have been a little bit more engaging and, you know, ask us some more questions. But for the audience members who did, thank you so much for your participation. And now I'm going to just close out the show. And before I do, I just wanted to bring to your attention that on March 31st, I'll be having champagne and chocolate conversations. So if you or any of your friends are in the New York area, join us for some adult conversations with champagne and chocolate. It will be Saturday, March 31st. It's 2 hours, and it's a lot of fun. Bushwoman told you that it was a lot of fun, right? She got prizes, she got chocolate, she got champagne. It's all of that, and really, really good heartfelt conversations. So I hope that you can be there. And this is the information to get your ticket. You pay $27 for your ticket or $7 for your +1. You get it back when you show up at the door. So it's like you're leaving a seat deposit. And it's Saturday, March 31st, and it's going to be in Tribeca, New York, at 59 Franklin Street in New York, in the Basement Lounge. So make sure you're there. And now we've come to the end of our show, and our next show will be on April 2nd at 9 p.m., where we're going to be talking about controlling your behavior through food. That is going to be an interesting subject matter as well. So, my favorite mentor passed on, transitioned on, but she's right here because I'm standing on her shoulder and 1,000 others. She always says, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou, love you. I hope that we here on the SpeakerMC Show have made you feel a little bit more inspired, insightful, a little warm and fuzzy maybe, or just maybe a little bit more educated about what's really going on out there, how we're treating our children. So on that note, I will say I bid you adieu. And SpeakerMC, Bushwoman, you didn't tell our audience if they had any gifts to get from you. We love getting gifts.
Yes, well, I do have a gift. And again, it's all part of personal development. You can get a free introductory coaching session from me. And you can contact me at bushwomanconversations.com. That's bushwomanconversations with an S.com to claim your free gift of a free 30-minute introductory session to help you to work on your personal development. Because why? What is your big why for being here as a spiritual being having a human experience? So we have a lot of kinks, we got a lot of thinking things to work on, and I will help you to help yourself. And a matter of fact, SpeakerMC, the 2nd of April is my son's Earth Day. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
happy birthday, Kuji.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our hour, a little bit over, but it has been phenomenal, and I thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
audience,
Namaste.
for your participation. participation and for being here tonight. All right. And we are